and welcome to this statutory meeting of the Mackay Regional Council. Welcome to the returning councillors. Welcome to our new councillors today. And for the first time in living memory, our statutory meeting of a first council has not been in the Mackay Regional Council chambers. But this is quite an historic occasion, so I think this is one we will remember for a long time. So this meeting of the Mackay Regional Council is being live streamed in accordance with our council's standing orders. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, no members of the public are permitted to be in attendance at our council meeting today. But through our live stream on our Facebook channel and also on our YouTube channel, we welcome members of the public in viewing this first statutory meeting of the new Mackay Regional Council for 2020-24. So councillors appreciate the fact that we have spacing. I think, Councillor Jones, I walked it out this morning, you're 14 metres away from me. But the staff of the MECC have done a tremendous job, and thank you to the staff of the MECC for putting this up. Thank you, CEO and directors. They're so far away I can hardly see them, but it's nice to have you all here this morning. So we'd like to welcome Philip Kemp, of course, one of our traditional owner elders in the Mackay region, to do the official welcome to country for this term of council.
Thank you, Mayor. Ben Bigaribiri Gadjula, which means g'day today. On behalf of my ancestors, the traditional custodians of this area, known as the Yubira people, I welcome you to this land, Yubira country, where we gather today. To me, to familiar friends, and to those I'm yet to meet, my name is Philip Kemp. Through my mother and her father and his mother, my family and I are descendants of the community of the Yubira people who have existed in this area for untold generations. This immediate city area is Yubira country and is part of the greater Mackay area, now referred to as Yui country. So the traditional custodians use natural geographical features as boundaries for their country. The boundary for Yui country extends north to Mitch Point, south to Cape Palmerston, west to the foothills of the ranges, and east to the coastline and neighbouring islands. The Yui First Nation people were given native title determination for this area on the 25th of February 2020, so this just recently. I acknowledge the First Nation people from other country areas who've made their home in Mackay, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging of those communities who live, work and play in this great region of North Queensland. And I pay my respects to the spirit of this most ancient and beautiful country. I also acknowledge my Australian South Sea Island heritage through my maternal great-grandmother, and pay my respects to the Australian South Sea Island elders past, present and emerging. I welcome all people gathered here today. I feel that my ancestors are watching over me and guiding me in connecting people with people. I am honoured to be invited here today for the first council meeting of the recently elected new councillors and returning councillors of Mackay Regional Council. I look forward to continuing to build a strong relationship between Mackay Regional Council and the Yui people and the Yubara Aboriginal Corporation, and look forward to working with Mackay Regional Council councillors and staff. I think it's a new beginning for all of us, especially the Yui people now having achieved that consent determination. And it's refreshing to see some new faces on the council as well, so hopefully we can continue that good relationship. So once again, on behalf of the Yubira people, welcome to Yubira Yui country. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. I declare the meeting open and welcome the Reverend Dr. Julie Pittman to lead us in prayer.
Thank you, Mayor, and congratulations to all councillors who have been elected, those returning and those who are for a new term for the next 4 years. As we gather together today, we acknowledge that the opening of the new term of Mackay Regional Council is heavily affected by the restrictions imposed by governments in response to COVID-19. The Christian churches throughout the world are both affected by this crisis and seek to respond to it positively. As you are aware, churches have shut down their services and reshaped operations. We have lost members. For the Uniting Church in Australia, one of the deaths from coronavirus in Queensland was that of one of our retired ministers, the Reverend Des Williams, who ministered at Mackay, West Mackay Methodist Church, now owned as Uniting Church, in the 1960s, and would be known to some of you here. Throughout the world, the Christian churches have also reconfigured our congregations and community service activities to distance and online mode. Phone, email, snail mail, social media, live streaming, takeaway emergency relief, and radio programs to reach out to the community with the love of God. And now for the shameless plug. My new radio program, Radio Church, airs on Sundays at 11 a.m. on My 105.9 FM and direct from the website, my105fm.com.au. So wherever you are in Australia, you can receive a church service from this website or from your radio. Quality recordings of hymns and songs from well-known Christian choirs and artists, a children's segment with kids' songs and activities that can be downloaded from the internet. Prayers and preaching are delivered direct to your lounge room. For this Sunday at 11 o'clock, I invite all council members to join me on Radio Church for a special edition to recognise with Christian music and blessing this swearing in of the new members of Mackay Regional Council, as this meeting is not open to the public and is able to be live streamed today. Though our circumstances change and we are called to endure much suffering, through it all, God is with us, and the Christians of Australia, which represent more than 50% of the population, believe in the triune God, Father, Son and Spirit, in whose name we now pray. Almighty and ever-loving God, we thank you for your steadfast love shown throughout history, particularly in the decisive act of sending your Son, Jesus Christ, into the world, which gives life to the Christian Church and helps community life to cohere. On this opening meeting of Mackay Regional Council, we give thanks for the service of the outgoing council and for its pivotal role in preserving peace and prosperity in our area. Sustain the members of the newly elected Mackay Regional Council. Grant this new council wisdom, courage and determination to act with integrity, to uphold the highest principles of good governance, to preserve honesty, transparency and to allow room for sufficient debate. We give thanks for the preservation of our nation through the coronavirus crisis. We give thanks for the hard work and strong leadership shown by our bipartisan National Cabinet, and we ask for strength for all members of our community to refrain from fear and worry, from violent, destructive and counterproductive behaviour, and to continue to respond with grace, patience and love as we reach out to those who are our neighbours, as we are called by Christ to love God and to love neighbour. This we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Saviour and Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Reverend Dr. Pittman. Thank you. So, councillors, this is the statutory meeting, as you know, and we are required under the Act to have several items determined today. So there's no general business in this particular meeting, and the four items that we have available to us today are prescribed for us to complete in the statutory meeting. So the first is the election of the Deputy Mayor. And so the Act simply says the Council will elect a Deputy Mayor. We've called for nominations. There have been two nominations, Councillor Bonaventura and Councillor May. I propose to allow 3 minutes each for these two councillors to address the Council, and then we will, as the only way we can do it, is to determine who becomes the Deputy Mayor by a motion of Council. And we'll do that alphabetically. The first motion will be taken and will obviously be Councillor Bonaventura. If that fails, we will then go to Councillor May. If that fails, we'll repeat the process. All right, so Councillor Bonaventura, I invite you to address the Council.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillors, I thought long and hard about my reasons for nomination. My desire for this role comes from a real sense that we need to bring this council together for the benefit of our community. We will be faced with difficult financial decisions over the next couple of years. And I come from a background of making every dollar count, and the realisation that ratepayers have worked to provide us with every dollar we spend. And I would like the opportunity to work with our mayor to ensure we always keep this as our top priority. If elected, I would step down from the role after 2 years and offer the opportunity to others who might have an interest in bringing their ideas or a different point of view to this role. Now, my main aim during the 2-year period would be to work with all councils to achieve a good working relationship with each other. I see this as essential to achieve the best outcomes for our region. We have been elected to represent the region, and the best way to do this is through a shared vision, using the wisdom that comes from blending all the skills and ideas that we all have as councillors. Your Worship, you have often commented about the democratic process of council and the importance of good, healthy debate in chambers. I wholeheartedly agree. And while our view on each topic may differ, we need to leave those differences in chambers and work together on every issue we face to achieve the best outcomes. Just over 200 votes separated 10th and 11th place, which indicates that voters were split right down the middle. So, councillors, I'm asking you to give or to consider giving that point a lot of thought when you cast your vote. To elect me as your deputy would show that you are giving fair representation to all who would like to see a balanced council. I believe that act alone would bring many accolades to councillors and reap many benefits in building a culture of working together. Your Worship, the important role you play in promoting Mackay needs to continue, especially in these COVID-19 times. The role of your deputy must be one of support for your role as a civic leader to our region. And I will make myself available to assist you in whatever capacity you see as necessary. Councillors, I believe now, more than ever, we need to work together. And I ask you to give me the chance to work towards uniting us. Not to be like-minded, but to be open-minded, focusing on the needs of our region. Councillors, I ask for your support.
Thank you, Councillor Bonaventura. Councillor May, I invite you to address the council.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and thank you for the opportunity to address the council today. And I would firstly like to start by acknowledging and being very grateful to all of the voters in the Mackay region who have made this day possible for not only for myself, but everybody that sits around this table. So I'm very humbled to be representing the Mackay region community again for another term, and like I said, very thankful for the support that the Mackay region has shown me throughout this election campaign. I thought I might just start with a bit of a brief rundown of some of the things that I've done in my time, not just in council, but in life, I suppose, just to give particularly the new councillors a bit of an insight into who I am and what skills I can bring to the table. So I've had over 30 years experience in business, having owned Serena Motor Inn Hideaway Restaurant, Eagle Boys Pizza franchise, the Serena Laundromat and vending business, and managed the RSL Club in Serena for a couple of years as well. As a volunteer, I've been volunteering in the community before my child was born, and he turned 32 this year, so I have a great length of time in making myself available to the community and being a leader in that community, in those community organisations. I currently hold the position of Chair of the Regional Social Development Coalition, Chair of the Mackay Regional Housing Company, Chair of the Serena Community Bank, and Vice Chair of Serena Land Care, all of which I do in a volunteer capacity. I also have great experience in local government, having had 16 years and a very privileged 16 years to be representing the people of Serena Shire for 8 and the people of the Mackay region for a further 8. During my time at Serena Shire Council, I was fortunate enough to hold the position of Deputy Mayor and Mayor, and be one of the mayors that was part of the transition committee in leading the council through the amalgamation process. So that in itself was a great experience and a great position to be in at the time. I've also had an opportunity to represent council on many different committees and things, and just in the last term, two that spring to mind is the Vice Chair of the Local Government Association of Queensland Water and Sewerage Advisory Committee, and I chaired for the Local Government Association of Queensland the Asset Management Advisory Committee as well. People that know me will know that I am a very passionate person that's dedicated to local government, dedicated to community engagement, dedicated to working with everybody that wants to be part of the council and the community going forward. I've got a sound record in that area of bringing together groups, committees, and leading as well as assisting and sharing my skills and knowledge wherever possible to enhance other people's ability in being part of our great community. I feel I'm best placed to be able to support our Mayor. I have certainly worked very closely with the Mayor over the last term of council, and would like to be building on that relationship so that we can together, along with all of the representatives that have been elected in this particular council, that we can all work together to build an effective, cohesive team that is going to lead our community. I feel that I have the necessary skills and experience to support the Mayor, the councillors, to be your Deputy Mayor in the next term of council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor May. So, councillors, I now call for a motion for Councillor Bonaventura to be appointed as the Deputy Mayor. So, Councillor Bonaventura, you move. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bella seconds. Councillor Bonaventura, you get a chance to speak again if you want.
I don't believe there is any further worship or debate.
Okay. And you can reserve your right to reply if there is a speaker against. Councillor Jones, do you want to move an amendment? Did you?
Please, if that's possible.
Tell us what your amendment is.
Thank you, Mayor Williamson. I would like to actually move a motion for amendment to the motion we currently have up, and that is up on the screen as that the position of the Deputy Mayor be for a period of 2 years and reviewed in mid-term of council with rotation to allow professional development for other councillors in our 4-year term.
Okay, thank you very much for that amended motion. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bonaventura seconds. Okay, you can speak to the amendment. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mayor Williamson. Look, in my previous in my previous terms of council, I've had the opportunity to see the shared role over a 4-year period of the Deputy Mayor. My first term of council, there was 2 deputy mayors, and my last term of council, there was the opportunity for 2 deputy mayors. We did actually get through to the second year with Councillor Casey, and I note that after his first 2 years, when we got to the review opportunity, everyone was certainly happy with the role that he had undertaken in those 2 years. And so, as such, council decided that we would vote him to be in there for the 4 years. I'd just like the opportunity for this council to be able to do the same thing. We have 2 great candidates here. They both offer different things, and I know that they could both do the job. So I'd like our councillors around the table to support my motion and have that opportunity for other members around the table. Thank you.
Right, so councillors, we're debating the amendment. Is there a speaker against the amendment? Councillor England.
Your Worship, the Deputy Mayor position is not a position for personal development.
a position for a proven leader. They must be mandated. In the absence of the mandate to take over that position without notice at times, and they can't be in training, they need to know what they're doing. If this council at any time has a problem with the leadership in this group, the Deputy Mayor, at any time we can put a notified motion in and discuss it there. In 3 days, in 6 months, in 2 years. I don't see the need for this amendment, Your Worship, as we can do that if we so desire, and I don't think we will. Thank you.
Speaker for the amendment? Are there any other speaker for? Councillor Bonaventura?
Just simply to say that I agree with Councillor James' amendment, and I would, as I've already said, voluntarily step down in a 2-year period, regardless, as Councillor said. But to have it formalised, I think would be a good position, and it would also, same as in that last term Councillor James spoke about, the current Deputy Mayor to step aside and obviously be re-elected.
Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? So, councillors, I'll put the amendment. The amendment is that the position of Deputy Mayor for a period of 2 years, that's a long way away, reviewed at the, well, whatever it is. So, sorry? So we're putting, that's better, I can read that now, thank you very much. Gee, that's a long way away, so when you... so the amendment is that Councillor Bonaventura be appointed a Deputy Mayor and the position of Deputy Mayor for a period of 2 years be reviewed at the mid-term of council with rotation to allow professional development for another councillor. I'll put the amendment... You can ask a question, Councillor May.
Are we voting on that whole motion?
We are voting on the amendment at the moment, and that'll then become the motion. So the amendment that we're voting on, that the position of Deputy Mayor for a period of 2 years be reviewed at mid-term of the council with rotation to allow professional development for another councillor. That's the amendment that we're voting on. No, that's not the amended motion. The amendment is the second part, Pam, and if the amendment is passed, then the motion becomes. Okay, so I'll put the amendment. Those in favour of the amendment? Those against the amendment? The amendment is lost. By 7 votes to 4.
Which is a bit hard to say.
Right.
Get the against.
We have a new system here. It's not like the system in, that we have in the chambers, councillors, so we have to do it on 2 separate...
I think the problem was it's so big to get around who was against. We've got to record against. Against could be.
So could we record those against the amendment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And May, England, Townsend, Green, Hassan.
Okay. The amendment is lost. So now the motion is that Councillor Bonaventura be appointed Deputy Mayor in accordance with Section 1752 of the Local Government Act. So, Councillor Bonaventura, you've spoken. Are there any other speakers now to this motion? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. Sorry, Councillor England, you're speaking for or against?
Against, Your Worship.
Against the motion, thank you.
Thank you. I thank Councillor Bonaventura for his comments, to his desire to move, to find his desire to bring this council together. I actually worked with Councillor Bonaventura 4 years ago and organised votes for his election as Deputy Mayor at that point there. I didn't know him very well then, I've got to know him over the last 4 years. A Deputy Mayor must be mayor-like. I like his comments that differences should be left in this chamber, and I wholeheartedly agree. A Deputy Mayor should have the courage to challenge him again. To his face, one-on-one first, and then in the media if required. So I agree, we should be leaving our differences in this chamber. I am aware of the vision of 8 of these 11 councillors, but I'm unsure what Councillor Bonaventura's vision is for the next 4 years. We all ran on different teams to get here, we're all on the same team now, as he said. Not all teams work together, and now is not the time for that. Our community is suffering now. At this time, I cannot take the risk on something for which I'm unsure, and this community at this time needs a short term.
Thank you very much. Are there other speakers? Other speakers? Councillors, I'll put the motion. And before I put the motion, Councillor Bonaventura, can I say thank you very much for your nomination. You have been an excellent councillor in this council. There is, in the previous council, I'm sorry. and you are a very community-minded councillor. And I thank you for your nomination as Deputy Mayor, and I'm sure we could and would work together if the vote went that way. Unfortunately, I'm not going to support you for that because of the experience and the top of the poll and the good balanced gender representation that Councillor May will bring. So I just wanted to put that on the table. So I'll put the motion. Those in favour of Councillor Bonaventura being Deputy Mayor? Those against? Okay. So Councillor Seymour, did you vote?
Yeah, so we don't vote that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Bonaventura. So can I have that? Sorry, I'll just declare that motion. That motion is lost. Can I have a motion then that Councillor May be appointed as Deputy Mayor? Councillor Mann moves, seconded by Councillor England. Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Your Worship. Look, I'm speaking today in support of Councillor May's nomination for Deputy Mayor. I've had the pleasure of working with her over the last 4 years, and I consider her to be a friend and a mentor, and I think it's really, really important in a Deputy Mayor that we all benefit from that mentoring as well. So in making my decision, I considered the following points. That is the experience that Councillor May brings to the position. So 16 years in local government, I don't think anybody could argue with that, including holding the office of Mayor at the former Serena Shire Council. She chairs numerous boards in different industries and sectors and challenges herself regularly on whether she's effective, on whether her skills are what they should be, and whether she's making a difference to whatever committee she's on. In terms of leadership, I've seen this displayed in all her interactions, and she holds herself in the highest standards in her words and actions. And as we work through the challenges that COVID-19 has presented with us, that leadership is critical in assisting you, but in also leading this council. I've heard it described as unprecedented, but we also had unprecedented fires in 2018. And Councillor May showed leadership there while she was on the LDMG. I watched her be in the Disaster Coordination Centre late at night, not because she had to be, because she was supporting our staff. And that was in your absence, or the Deputy Mayor's absence, when you had gone home for rest breaks. So she's shown her leadership there well and truly. Respect is another ideal that Councillor May displays all the time. So she has respect for the position of councillor, and her words and actions demonstrate that. She also is a great believer in respectful relationships. If you treat her in a manner that's acceptable and respectful, that's how she will treat you as well. And I think, again, that's another important trait. She has never shown any disrespect for the office of the Mayor or for the position of Mayor, and has the courage to disagree in a public forum if she needs to. The Mayor is expected to rise above politics while acting as the Mayor, and the same would be expected of the Deputy Mayor as well. Councillor May has risen above negativity and noise and derogatory comments and claims in all media forms, and that to me is the mark of a leader. I don't think we need a Deputy Mayor to bring everybody together or to work with each councillor. We can do that ourselves, and we should be doing that ourselves. So in the recent local government elections, as we know, Councillor May topped the vote count, as she did in 2016, and I believe that's a very strong message from the community as well. She chose not to stand for Deputy Mayor in 2016, that was her own decision. Mayor and councillors, that's why I ask you to support Councillor May being appointed as a Deputy Mayor, and I ask that you consider my points that I've made when you're making that decision.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Speaker against? Are there any other speakers? Councillor Engler, speaking for.
Yes, thank you, Worship. Councillor May, in my opinion, is now like, she's been a mayor, she's acted in her absence as mayor. Councillor Bonaventura has been an excellent councillor. Councillor May is also an excellent councillor, an excellent leader, an excellent mentor. That's why I support the motion.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? I'll put the motion then. The motion is that Councillor May be appointed Deputy Mayor in accordance with Section 1752 of the Local Government Act. Those in favour? Those against? One against. It's carried 10-1. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Councillor May. Well done. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for the support of the council there. Look, it's a really important aspect, as raised during that debate, that we as the council this time round work together, all together. And we have before us a huge task in this COVID pandemic that is not going to go away anytime soon. We will be operating in very different circumstances as a council as we move forward, probably for another 12 months. If you listen to the underlying message that's coming out, even with relaxation of some of the restrictions that we're on now as a community. So it's really important that we all work together, and I, for one, will give you my guarantee that I will strive to do the absolute best in that regard. So thank you very much, and congratulations, Councillor May. Thank you, councillors. Let's move on now. 3.1.2, the meeting arrangements for the ensuing time for council anyway. I mean, like as I said, we are in difficult times at this stage. That's why we're in a room where we're 14 or 15 metres from the nearest councillor, from me at least. Are there any questions over this particular item on the agenda? If not, would somebody like to move? Moved by Councillor May, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor May? There's nobody want to speak against it? Okay, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. 3.1.3 is the reimbursement of expenses and provision of facilities for councillors. Councillors, we have to get this on board as part of the statutory meeting. It gives us the opportunity to employ EAs to actually start accruing expenses for councillors, like travel expenses, etc. I realise there was some questions around this particular expense policy. Now is not the time in a statutory meeting to actually debate that as a statutory meeting. If we're going to do that, we need to bring the policy forward to a further meeting. But it's important that we get this up to date. That's why it's on the statutory meeting. Are there questions? No questions? Would somebody like to move then? Councillor Jones moves the adoption of the expenses and provisions facility, seconded by Councillor Mann. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Williamson. I do wholeheartedly move the motion based on the fact that it does, I agree with you, it does need to be sorted out today on our statutory meeting so that things can be up and running for us in council. However, I have had some concerns with the policy, and I know that it does take time and discussion to be able to review a policy. So that's something that just can't happen in a very short space of time. However, I'd like to foreshadow my intentions to bring to the May meeting a notified motion to review the reimbursement policy. I believe that in these challenging times, the community expects us to do what we can to reduce costs. Our community are tightening up their budgets, and of course, so will we in council. So, as I said, I support the motion, but I will be foreshadowing that my intentions will be to bring that notified motion to council in May. Thank you. Thank
you very much, Councillor Jones. Speaker against? Any other speakers? Councillor Bonaventura, you're speaking obviously for
the motion, Your Worship, but also to agree with Councillor Jones' words about looking at reviewing the policy at a later date. And certainly agree with Councillor Jones. We need to look at trimming where we can. And that doesn't mean we go without, but it means that we look at what we're doing and where over this next period we can save a bit of money. And it might look like a little bit of money, but over a 4-year period, that will all add up. So thank you, Councillor Jones, for bringing that, and I look forward to a further discussion on that in May.
Thanks, Councillor Bonaventura. Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 3.1.4 is the superannuation for councillors. Are there questions? No questions? Would somebody like to move the superannuation for councillors be adopted? Councillor Mann moves, seconded by Councillor Englert. Councillor Mann? No further discussion. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Any against? The motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. That's all we had to do in a statutory meeting. Once again, welcome to this term of council. Looking forward to having a robust 4 years. We've got a lot of leadership to do in our community, and I'm sure that this council is up for it. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you, CEO. Thank you, directors. And thank you to our online viewers. They don't all go that fast.
on.